Let's get into it. Someone said I clap like I have two left hands, and that's not allowed. Don't talk about me like that, okay? Let's get right into it. It's episode 721, Soul Not For Sale podcast, and we are doing a part 2, in a sense, of a certain video that we've already done, and it's when Python Cowboy and Joe Rogan were talking about how Python Cowboy stumbled onto a satanic ritual site of some kind in Florida while he was looking for pythons or whatever he was doing. Basically, the big thing that we missed when we were doing this episode was the fact that the wife here, hello, brought up L. Ron Hubbard. And everybody was like, you're not even talking about L. Ron Hubbard. I completely missed it. Didn't realize he is Scientology.
Yeah.
He is the Jesus of Scientology. And, or the God, we could say even.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Jack Parsons' relationship with L. Ron Hubbard and Aleister Crowley, those three gentlemen, how they got together, what their life was like together, all that good stuff. Then we're going to touch on the occult and Satanism, because I found some things of people who are into Satanism today. And, you know, Joe Rogan is going to be talking with Dave Smith about, like, is there really a Satan and a God? Is there really this evil force at work? And if you guys know me, you know I think yes. So let me give you that quick update. Or what would I call this? Recap. There you go. Let's get into it.
Sure as shit seems like it.
Holy shit.
Sure as shit seems like it. So I do a little more investigating in myself. It turns out Aerojet, that facility itself, has this, which I've done a whole YouTube video on it. Definitely check it out. It's interesting. Has a whole satanic history. The founder of Aerojet, the guy who was working with NASA and the federal government on these space rockets, was a public Satanist. Jack Parsons was a public Satanist who supposedly died in some kind of experiment, some say a satanic ritual, an explosion. And
what the fuck, man? Look at this guy.
Oh yeah, very public Satanist. He practiced what was called sex magic. And, you know, you can imagine what that's all about. And so his wife, who he claimed, I think it was his second wife, I'm not sure what, he claimed he conjured her from hell, that she was a demon, an elemental from hell. Her name was Marjorie Kimmel, the same name as my grandmother.
So this guy's a legit rocket scientist for NASA.
Full-blown Satanist.
Wow.
Public Satanist. Yeah.
What year was this?
60s, 70s. Cold War.
Wow.
And then Aerojet's still a thing, too, you know. I think it's out in Texas, or I don't know what, but...
Bro, this is a flat-out horror movie.
Yeah. And there, dude, that rabbit hole goes way deeper.
Yes, it does. Now, I just want to point out for everybody who knows that I'm into Laurel Canyon mid-60s, 70s. That's exactly what he just said.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's so much weird stuff going on in the mid-60s and 70s. So much odd stuff.
He kind of got his dates wrong.
You think so?
Yeah, Jack Parsons died in 1952.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay. We're just predating it a little bit, and then Laurel Canyon.
That's why you're here. You're the Jamie of this podcast. My bad. I jumped for that. But now we're going to be playing another Rogan clip. This is Dave Smith and Joe Rogan touching on this topic, as well as many others that have to do with the occult and Satanism. And then we're going to just give you a big breakdown of Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, L. Ron Hubbard, and modern day Satanists. Because there's a few of them. I think they're all in Hollywood. That's just me.
Yeah, seems like.
Yeah, right? Let's get into it.
The story even
It's
says
just more
that-
fun if he's a cross-dresser.
It says he went to a restaurant with his friend in a skirt. The other guy was in a dress. The hostess wouldn't let him in. And it almost sounds like that doesn't sound believable to me.
Yeah, I don't buy he went to a restaurant like that.
That seems
But
sus.
this said he saw him at a private party at the New York Plaza Hotel. It was a big orgy. And it's like...
How many of those are real? So we know Epstein's Island's real. And I used to think that was fucking insanity. Alex Jones was telling me about that over a decade ago.
Yeah,
Island,
that's
they
nuts.
compromise people on this island. They get them go there. These are hot girls. They look hot, but they're 16. He's telling me this whole thing. I was like, what?
That's the thing about Alex Jones, is that he'd always have this method of like, he throws a lot of shit at the wall.
They're turning the frogs gay.
Yeah, but that one turned out to be right too, or more or less kind of right. You know, maybe trans, whatever the frogs are. It's doing something.
Changing their sex.
Yeah. But like and by the way, the thing is that there's too many people who are like, Alex Jones was right, and there are a lot of things he was right about, but there's also a ton of things he was wrong about that he's just say with certainty. Like, and I have the information, I have all this and this, and it's like, none of this is true. I remember right after 9/11, he was going into this thing about how we're going to get in a nuclear war because Iran already has the nukes and they're going to use them. And he had this whole thing about how, like, he goes, Iran has nuclear weapons. I have the documents to prove this. We've got the sources off the record. But and it's just none of that was right.
It just might be right. Now that we've had Israel and Hamas going at each other, the tensions between the United States and Iran, that might be correct. We do not know. That might be correct. Maybe those sanctions weren't followed. Let's keep going.
You know, but then there's like the thing that he's right about, like being right about the Epstein Island thing is so fucking crazy, dude.
So wild. So wild.
And then
he was also right about Bohemian Grove.
Yep.
I mean, that's, people forget about that. I mean, he was in Bohemian Grove in like the 90s when they filmed all that.
Yeah.
Which is, you watch that ceremony, you're like, what are you doing? Like, what do you guys are dressing up like druids and you're burning an effigy in front of an owl god?
Yeah.
And you're speaking on loudspeakers about this owl god Moloch?
This is really what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do.
That's real.
And it's like, I'm not saying that we're living in this like this biblical world where there is like,
I'll say it.
Well, I'm not saying that there is a God and a Satan. I'm not saying there's not. I mean, I believe in God. But I'm saying they believe they're living in this world and they believe they're like on Team Satan or something like that. Because they do. It is very bizarre. I know these are the type of things that you're not allowed to bring up because, now you're a nutty conspiracy theorist, but we have proof of this happening. It's not, Bohemian Grove isn't just like we have actual video footage of it. We don't know everyone who's there. We know Nixon was there, and we know he said in his life and he wanted to wash his hands, or he didn't want to shake people's hands there. Like, this is all real, and it does look like, when we played that clip before of Madeleine Albright being like, the 500,000 dead children, that's worth it. Like, the price is worth it. It does kind of like, you start to kind of ask these questions where you're like, okay, so there are these people who are comfortable making decisions that lead to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of children. And we know in many cases, they're making these decisions based off profit. And you're like,
isn't that satanic?
Yeah, like, so who is that person?
Right.
Like, who the fuck is that person? Is it like they just do that work and then they clock out and they're just like us? Or are they clocking out and doing some weird ritual at the Bohemian Grove? You know what I mean?
And when Mark Andreessen was on, he brought up this. He was the one that brought up the Satanist who was also the rocket scientist, right? At Los Alamos Labs. Was that him that brought that up? No, it wasn't. You know who it was? It was the opposite of Mark Andreessen. It was Python Cowboy. Right? Python Cowboy, the guy who, that's who it was. Andreessen brought up the nuclear tests, about how the videos are weird of the nuclear tests. Like, there's a truck behind this building and then all of a sudden the truck disappears. Like, it's very weird. Or the truck appears. Like, I forget which one, but it's like, and also like, how are they filming this? And there's all these conspiracies. He wasn't saying it was real, but he's like, the conspiracies are that this was all rigged, that it was fake. But there was a guy who was, they were doing this thing where they were removing pythons from this place in Florida. And they got to this place and he took all this video footage of this elaborate satanic ritual setup that they had down there, where they had things written on the wall in Latin, and they had a girl's bloody dress, and they had a chair that was covered in something red, and they're trying to figure out what the fuck was going on, and he wound up getting out of there. But then he found out that the history of that lab itself, that the guy who founded that lab was an open Satanist. Jack Parsons. Pull up those articles about him. Because we were playing it during the show. It's like, what? So this guy was involved in this nuclear weapons lab, and he's also an open Satanist? Like, what?
Yeah, that is fucking really strange.
Would wear the fucking outfits and go to these things, and this was in like the 50s?
And it does make you wonder to some degree. You're like, are you like, is there really a Satan, and are you really a part of his thing? Or is this just some weird game you're playing?
Yeah, like, look how these fucking people would dress, man. Look how insane this is. Go to that article. So the article is so bizarre. Sex, rocket scientists, and Satanism. Meet NASA's real hidden figures. Satanism. I mean, what? And this guy was a part of their program, and he was fucking openly in the Church of Satan. Like, look how they would dress. It was like walking into a Fellini movie. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck, man? Look at these people. These are the people that were responsible for this?
That's
like
Aleister Crowley.
Oh my God.
Well, even like
How insane are these fucking people?
With the Epstein thing I guess it's not exactly this, but you remember the like the pictures, the paintings that they found from him? There's one with George W. Bush when he's like a little kid and he's playing with the blocks that are in the towers.
Yeah.
And then there's like Bill Clinton in a dress or something like that. Like it's not exactly Satanist shit, but it's still just kind of this weird like.
Well, the Clinton
what is
thing
this?
to me was like clear that like you have the president in a fucking dress, and we've talked about this. There's like a little fucking screenshot of me talking about it with Duncan. Where like that is to me, I got you. I got you, bitch. Like,
and the George W. Bush one seems to be kind of like different, but a similar. Like this idiot has no idea what the fuck's going on.
Exactly. He's got a doofus looking look on his face,
but it's the planes in two.
So let's talk about Jack Parsons.
Yeah.
Aleister Crowley. L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
Modern day Jesus.
To some.
Yeah, to some. It's actually crazy. Yeah, so what did we end up pulling up on all of this?
Well, just a little recap for anybody who didn't watch the previous video, even though you should. Jack Parsons was basically the original rocket scientist.
Yeah.
Like, he made jet fuel.
That's so weird.
Yeah, right?
He was the original. Like, there was nobody else that had this capability.
So rocket science didn't even exist when he was starting off. Went to a couple years of like an undergraduate college, like a program, but didn't end up finishing because it was during the Great Depression, like in the 30s.
Oh, true.
So he had to drop out for financial reasons because he couldn't continue.
Wow. Okay.
And then he got together with a couple of his friends from Caltech, the California Technical Institute, and just started playing with rockets.
Wow.
And they made a couple different companies, including one called JPL that's still around today.
Really?
Jet Propulsion Laboratories.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's like NASA's primary research division right now, research and testing. And this other one that they were talking about in the clip there, that's Aerojet.
Really?
Yeah. So Aerojet was testing the invention that Jack Parsons made, which is solid jet fuel.
Oh, okay.
So they were testing it in rockets out there in the Florida Everglades because there was nothing around at all.
Back then.
Yeah, exactly. And it
Kinda
had enough
still
of
now.
like an ocean. Like it was close enough to the ocean that they could bring things in by ship because all the parts were like super duper heavy. And there weren't really roads going out to the Everglades in the 1940s.
Yeah. Even now.
Yeah. True. So it was crazy that like they found the satanic ritual at that location.
It's very interesting. Obviously, it has nothing to do with him, and it has more to do with people knowing about him.
Probably.
I would think.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy did this through these type of practices.
Yeah.
So it'd make the most sense to go there.
Yeah, and Jack Parsons ended up being
Try
fired.
and get that microphone like this. Angle it at your face.
Angle it at my face.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
He ended up being fired from Aerojet. His partners like cut ties with him because of his occult
Really?
ties. Yeah.
Can you imagine they're all like in a meeting room together and they're like wearing suits and they're like, listen, Jack, and he's just sitting there with like horns on. And
Oh my God.
And a cloak.
He's naked.
And he's like, you guys are he's naked. He's naked. He's naked with horns on. He goes, you guys are being ridiculous.
Well, some of the rituals that he did was like pleasuring himself onto different like tablets and scrolls and religious things. So maybe he's like doing that onto the plans.
That's how you get things done. He's like, just let me handle this, guys. They're like, Jack, no, please.
No more.
Don't do this again. I'm fine. I did it once today. It's fine. I'll be good. Just give me a second. Just give me a couple minutes.
Yeah. So he was really into Aleister Crowley's religion.
Yeah.
Which is Thelema. Thelema. I don't know how to say it. But so they're Thelemites.
Okay.
Is what they're called.
So Thelemite. Thelemin, probably, the religion. Thelemism. I
don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's the one started by Aleister Crowley. And Aleister Crowley started this religion because he had, like he said, he channeled this being named Aiwass.
Aiwass?
Yes. It's like AIWASS.
Yeah.
That's the name of this being who delivered onto Aleister Crowley a book.
Put that over here. Yeah, there you go.
So then Aleister Crowley wrote this book. Let me see if I can remember what it's called.
Is this with the gray alien looking thing?
No.
No.
That was
a
different thing.
Wow.
Okay, so it's called the Book of the Law.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Book of the Law was channeled to Aleister Crowley through AWOS.
Really?
Yeah.
I had that book at one time.
Did you really?
Yeah. I remember I was reading a lot about Aleister Crowley, and I'm like, wow, read like his books. And I remember I got the book, and then I was still reading and researching, and then someone, it's either in a forum or something, said, if you don't read the book from beginning to end, it'll be bad luck. And I was like, it was me back in the day when I was getting high all the time. I'm like, there's no way I'm reading this from front to
So you
back
didn't
in
start?
one setting. I'm like, there's no way. So right away, I was just like, I just threw it to the side for a long time. And then I threw it out, I think before, and look how life works. I think I'm pretty sure I threw it out like just before I met you.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Get it out of there.
Yeah. I threw it out. I remember. That's crazy. Wow. You know, you got to keep stuff like that away from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really interested. I'm like, what is this guy? Like magic, like grown men practicing magic. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this?
The primary dictate of the religion is do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Yes.
Love is the law, love under will.
Yes.
So they were really into like free love. They
Yeah.
did a lot of hallucinogenic drugs and stuff like that. And
Oh,
they
really?
were very into, just different mental states as well as like sexual rituals.
Well, I was definitely into the hallucinogenic stuff. That's
Yeah.
for sure. I'm just pulling up this picture here. Might take a little while to pull up, but
Yeah.
you're saying do what thou wilt, and a lot of people talk about Jay-Z being like connected to Satanism and stuff.
Oh, that makes sense.
And he actually has this shirt where it says "Do what thou wilt" on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that he's like connected to a lot.
I feel
of
like if we were
different
to
stuff.
look up that phrase, we'd see it in a lot of weird places.
Probably.
Yeah, and I don't think people really realize where it comes from because I had no idea.
I did, just because I did my research. Right.
Yeah.
I've always heard that quote.
But when I say Jack Parsons followed this religion of Aleister Crowley's, it's not like a scenario in modern day, like if somebody's Catholic, they follow the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Parsons actually knew Aleister Crowley,
Yes.
and they would like communicate through letters because Aleister Crowley lived in the UK and Jack Parsons lived in California.
United States, California.
Yeah,
Of course.
Pasadena.
Of course he did. Of course.
Yeah. But they would communicate through letters, and eventually Aleister Crowley actually made Jack Parsons the head of the order in his area. I don't know if it was like just Pasadena or California, whatever.
That's very interesting.
But he was like the head of that order.
So they became friends just from that.
Yeah.
Just from
Well,
being...
not really like friends, more like mentor.
Yeah, I guess
mentee.
so. Yeah, makes sense. And then what else? Let me know about this whole connection that they have.
Okay, well then L. Ron Hubbard pops in there. So after Jack Parsons was made the head of this order, he started the Agape Lodge in Pasadena. So it was this huge mansion that he bought.
I've seen this tattoo on people.
Is
Now
that?
that I think of it, this symbol here,
Oh, it
I've
almost looks like the Mason symbol.
it is.
It's like
Yeah,
half of it,
It's pretty much all of it, I think. Pretty sure.
which is really interesting because that reminds me of
looks
like the Mason
yeah.
symbol, but as above, so below.
yeah.
Like a reflection of it.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. But I think he was a Freemason as well. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Could be.
I'm pretty sure Aleister Crowley is a Freemason. I'm going to look it up right now.
Interesting. But yeah, so then he bought this place in California, Jack Parsons did, to host all of these followers of the Thelemite religion.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who joined in the house was L. Ron Hubbard, who is the founder of Scientology, for those of you who did not know. I'm sure everybody else knows except me, and that's why we missed it in the first video.
Well, you know, he's so funny. Yeah, right? Like, you were just talking, and I heard the name, and it just didn't register to me
Yeah.
because I, like, working in film and television, I'm sure you remember, I was working in a studio with the owner of it was a Scientologist.
Yeah.
And in this basement that this guy had, great guy, by the way, absolutely fantastic guy. But in this basement was so much Scientology literature, so much. just pallets and pallets
Wow.
of just
Like he was
books
distributing it.
and books. Yeah. So he said he was holding it for someone. But he was open about being a Scientologist. Everybody knows. Like
Interesting.
anybody that uses that studio knows that that's a Scientologist studio. It's just it was just very interesting. I used to see that name every single day, and I'd be like, "What is this? What is this?"
L. Ron Hubbard.
And I never, because it's all over
Oh,
the
on
books.
the
Right?
book.
He's written many books.
Yeah.
They don't just have like one book; they have many and many books. So, yeah.
Well.
Only
yeah.
job I ever quit too. Usually I would just not show up. I just not show up. But with them, I was like, I'm not gonna be here anymore, guys. I just had to let them know.
There you
Had to
go.
let
Do
him
the
know.
right thing.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Well, they were just so nice.
Yeah,
They're
that's good.
really nice people.
That's good.
I wonder if he was.
Yeah. So L. Ron Hubbard started following this Thelemite religion as well, and lived in the same house as Jack Parsons. And it actually turned out that
So they were both in the religion?
yeah.
Wow. So he was in that religion, Thelemite or Thelemism, whatever you
yeah.
want to talk about it. Oh, Thelema. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Thelema. And then went on to create Scientology.
Yes. But while he was in this religion, so pretty much as soon as he moved into this house, the Agape Lodge, he took a shine to Jack Parsons' girlfriend.
Yeah.
So he ended up taking Jack Parsons' girlfriend from him and like just started sleeping with her and
Yeah.
whatever. And apparently Parsons and this girl had an open relationship. So
This
he
is the
wasn't-
one that he forged from hell?
No, that's
Oh,
after
okay.
the fact.
Okay.
So
it
he
wasn't-
lost
wasn't
his
it?
girlfriend to L. Ron Hubbard. And then after that, he had asked L. Ron Hubbard to help him forge this girl.
I need to forge someone. From
Yes.
The pits
So
of
he
hell.
was trying to summon a goddess named Babylon.
Really?
Yeah. So in that ritual, he had to pleasure himself onto like ancient texts and things, and L. Ron Hubbard would take notes and just like chant things in the corner.
I just need your help for a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Just be my scribe. No problem. No problem. He looks up. He's just completely naked with the horns on.
Yeah, so that's what was going on.
He's just like, Jesus, all right. What am I supposed to be writing here?
Yeah.
He's just like, fap.
Oh my God.
Okay. It's ridiculous.
But yeah, so that was going on. So Aleister Crowley and L. Ron Hubbard never had contact, but they were connected through Jack Parsons.
Ah, so it's like his mutual friend.
Yeah.
What a set of friends this guy has, eh?
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then in the end, L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons' ex-girlfriend ended up convincing Jack Parsons to go into a business venture with them. So L. Ron Hubbard put in, I think, like $1,200.
Yeah.
The girl put in nothing.
Of course.
And Jack Parsons put in $20,000.
Wow.
Yeah, of his money that he made from rocket stuff.
Jeez.
So that
Okay.
was the division, and the whole business venture was that L. Ron Hubbard and the girlfriend were going to go to Florida to buy yachts and then sail them back along the coast to California to sell. So as soon as they got to Florida, Jack Parsons wasn't there. He's still in California. So they got to Florida, just bought a yacht and had a good time
Wow.
with his money. That was it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So they just like took his money and ran
What a
away.
guy.
And then he made Scientology
Soon after that?
soon after that.
Wow. Jeez. That's very interesting. And it sounds like this Jack Parsons guy, although he's very smart, he seems like he was one of those socially inept, not street smart, we'll say.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Here's $20,000.
Yeah. You're only putting in $1,200? Sure. You take my money, go buy yachts.
And then L. Ron Hubbard was like, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Time for us to go spread the gospel,
Thanks
my lady.
for the money. Thanks for the girl.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
so
wild,
amazing.
eh? What a wild story.
And then he went to Florida. It's funny because they became such a big religion in California.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I guess
huge.
they eventually came back because that's where they lived.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Blew him up. Okay, we can
Wow.
go back. Let's go back now.
Yeah.
Jack Parsons died in an explosion, if you don't know.
Yeah.
Big explosion. Probably trying to summon something. Probably trying to work on rocket fuel of some sort.
Like in his house, though.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
seem smart.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Very interesting.
It said like when he was found, his like face was blown off. Like it was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it was like very gruesome.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well that makes sense. Rocket fuel? But NASA's based on this. That's the thing that's
Yes.
crazy about that.
Exactly.
This is like let's pull up some of the stuff that we have here. Like what do we got here? Do we have anything that talks directly about NASA?
I don't know. Let me just see.
The crazed occultist who was the father of rocketry.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you have that one in point form notes at all?
No, I don't have that one in point form notes.
Why not?
Oh, this is the one that was talking about how his body
one?
was found. This article.
This article that
yeah,
I'm on?
right in the top there. It's
Oh.
nasty. And they found pages covered in symbols like pentagrams and texts with unfamiliar languages.
Wow. Well, see, that's the thing with this religion, with this occult type of stuff. Once you give into it, you're kind of giving yourself to it. You know,
Yeah.
it's connected to Satan, and when you connect to Satan, he will give you the things that you ask for, but the thing that he's going to want in return is your soul, and the way that he takes that is through you passing away.
Yeah, early.
There's no way around it, you know?
One of the paragraphs in this article says, without Parsons, Neil Armstrong may have never set foot on the moon. And American military power might be a fraction of what it is today. But Parsons' global significance was overshadowed by a juicier pastime. He was a leader of a black magic sex cult, of which Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard was once a member.
It's wild how many things have their seeds, because this is not Satanism per se, but it's connected to something that's very dark.
Yes.
And if it's not connected to Satanism, it is connected to something that is connected to that. You know? So it's wild to think NASA has its roots in that. Scientology has its roots in that. Well, I guess not Scientology, just because this gentleman left it and then created his own thing, or it came to him, whatever their story is, however that goes. But the roots of a lot of things are coming from this guy, and he was deep into Satanism, open Satanist. Like wild. What else you got?
Later in this article, it says that there's a guy who was making a book about Parsons in his life. Last name is Pendle. So it says, while combing through the information, Pendle found a man of many contradictions, the creator of a whole new science, who believed that rocketry could be a boon to mankind, just as strongly as he felt he could summon mystical beings to Earth using explosions and magical rituals.
Wow.
So he's kind of a wild guy.
Wait, who's he talking about?
Jack Parsons.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. That's so weird. And then here in this article, it says Scientology's whole structure is based on this cult that Parsons was a part of.
Which Scientology denies.
Yes, they're very clear about that. We have to be clear about that. They might contact us. I just remember when they contacted Joe Rogan.
Oh, that's so crazy.
You know, and I was watching the episode, and I'm like, they contacted him, and he got real serious. He's like, let me put on my glasses and read this statement.
Wow.
I was like, okay. So before I have to put on my glasses and read any statement, they denounce all of that. They're not a part of that. It's completely different.
But I've seen people compare the two religions just in their structure of like moving up. So like, you know how like Masons have like 33 degrees of whatever.
Of course.
There's a similar structure in Scientology and in Thelema.
Really?
Yeah. Not that many degrees from what I've seen.
Similar to Masonry?
Well, just in like that there's different degrees of, I don't know, enlightenment, for lack of a better term.
Yes, there is.
And then you get to know different things based on which level you are.
Oh, yeah, that is true. You know what comes to mind when you say that? Joe Rogan was interviewing, I don't know if you're too young for the show, but it was called Kings of Queens. It was with Kevin James, and his wife on the show was a Scientologist. Her Her family was Scientologists and everything.
Like in real life or the show?
No, the real life.
Okay.
And she was talking. She left it and she did a whole interview with Joe where she's breaking down everything.
Wow.
Because she got to the highest level. So she was able to just tell everything.
That's crazy.
And at one point she says that they told her about, and maybe you even touched on this. They were saying how she has all of these beings inside of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the story of Xenu I was telling you about.
Yes, she learned
who's
about
like
that.
The alien intergalactic overlord.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. And basically, so Xenu was like, I don't know, emperor of many planets.
Yeah.
75 million years ago.
Wow.
And there was an overpopulation issue. So he took a whole bunch of human beings and brought them to Earth and then killed them all.
Oh.
Just killed them all off. And their spirits are, I think they call them Thelemites, something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And those are like the beings that are around us all the time.
Oh.
So that's the beings that she's talking about.
And they like tell us wrong things?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing?
Yeah.
I can see that. We've talked about thoughts and how it seems like sometimes they just pop into your head and they don't seem like they're yours. Mm-hmm. Maybe Scientology is the religion.
You never know.
Maybe it's the one that we all have to go with. But yeah, very, very interesting. What else do you have on that whole comparison? Because I know you were doing a comparison of the Aleister Crowley's religion and Scientology. Was there actually any similarities?
Well,
Or
the
is
other
it just the
interesting thing
structure?
is after we talked about Xenu, who was an alien, there's a picture that Aleister Crowley drew.
Do you have that picture?
No, I don't.
I
It's
do.
called Lamb, though. L-A-M.
Lamb.
Just put Lamb, Aleister Crowley. It'll probably
Aleister
pop up.
Crowley. I like this because there are certain celebrities that are making similar poses to this being. Right here. Boom. Not this gentleman here. Not him. That's Aleister Crowley himself. This being right here. So this is Lamb.
Yeah.
Right? And I just noticed this as you brought it up, but Doja Cat, who is a serious Satanist type, she keeps making pictures like
that's
this.
Crazy.
She keeps on doing this. There's like multiple pictures of her doing this.
That looks crazy.
And she's making herself look exactly like it. And not saying anything. And for sure, whatever this religion is, she is connected to it. She's been going really deep into acting like a demon. Oh, come on, where is it? It won't even show me the picture anymore. Oh, I don't even want to show it. I don't want to show the video side. But yeah, she's doing this. This is a cover of one of her singles, or it might be an album, but she's just straight up posing as a demon, just doing demon-like things. She actually put up an installation that's around certain parts of California, of course, where it's her as a demon, like covered in blood.
Oh, geez.
And it's a bunch of different statues that are like put everywhere. That's why
It looks crazy.
right?
I just
There's
got
another
like a
one.
bit of a shock there.
Right? She just keeps on making these pictures. It's very, very odd. And she made sure to
That's
shave
so
off her
funny.
eyebrows.
I love that somebody in the comments put
Yeah.
Megamind in there.
Right? But like she's making herself look just like this thing.
Wow.
And I think she's doing it purposely. I think if there's any celebrities that are deep into the occult right now, it's definitely her. She's made some weird statements about, people aren't meant to understand, and like she's definitely deep in it. Deep in it. That's why we were talking about. I wanted to talk about modern day Satanists. There's a bunch. What
But
else
with
do
the
we-
drawing of Lamb, Aleister Crowley said it was not considered an alien in the modern sense, but rather an interdimensional entity encountered during magical practices. So that means this thing's like technically in our world.
it's a demon.
Yeah, it could be.
That's what a lot of people. There's actually a theory that the whole. Oh yeah, can you go to this one?
Yep.
There's actually a theory that the whole alien conspiracy of sorts is actually linked to demons, and they're prepping people by saying aliens That way, when they
His
actually
demon is
show
scarier.
up, because they're getting enough negative energy from the world to actually show up in the physical, when they do, they want to say that they're aliens. And they want to say that they're highly advanced
Wow.
and that we should be connecting with them and it should be
Oh,
okay.
jeez.
Isn't that weird?
That's crazy.
It's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah. Very weird.
This
so this
one-
is an article you pulled up about
Yeah,
modern Satanists.
basically. You listen, none of these people are going to outright say they're Satanists, but this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like this woman's talking about, who's this, Lana Del
Lana
Rey?
Del Rey.
She's talking about, I don't know why, look, they always do this to Trump. Is Trump even in this article?
No.
How dare they? They just threw him in. Oh, it's
Well,
because
because she's
she tried to
like basically put a curse on him.
yeah, exactly. For those of you who don't know, she actually tried to do a curse on Trump to silence him. Okay? That's how deep these left-leaning people go.
Was that before or after he got kicked off Twitter?
Ooh, jeez.
Just curious.
Ooh, wow. I don't know. What does it say at the bottom there for her thing?
Lana Del Rey famously joined a group of witches to put a spell on Donald Trump to bind him, which is meant to silence him. Del Rey told whatever news thing, yeah, I did it. Why not? Look, I do a lot of shit. She continued with, I really do believe that words are one of the last forms of magic, and I'm a bit of a mystic at heart.
Wow. Good for her. Good for her. See where it gets you. And she's deep into it as well. Definitely.
Yeah.
There's so many of these artists that are into this one was I don't even know if I can show that on YouTube. But that's Rita Azalea Banks.
Yeah, so the Azalea Banks one says
Just a quick preface. Azalea Banks is a rapper / singer in the hip hop community, young black woman. Yeah, so go ahead, sorry.
It says Azalea Banks posted clips of her cleaning up what looked to be remnants of chicken carcasses in her closet. She says in the video that she's been practicing brujeria for 3 years and that real witches do real things before cleaning up the mess with an industrial sander.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So weird.
So the
she's-
craziest things I found about that were that they're in her closet and that she's cleaning up with a sander.
Yeah, well, it just shows how
What?
deep whatever blood got into it is.
Ew, that's gross.
And then if you don't mind, this is the guy from Hall & Oates. He was deep into the occult. He actually talks about it. And he says that it was something that he went through. But I want to go down to Sammy Davis Jr. So sorry. Go to Sammy Davis Jr. Please read that.
Sammy Davis Jr. reportedly dabbled in Satanism, having attended gatherings hosted by the Church of Satan.
Wow.
In an advanced excerpt from his 1980 memoir, Hollywood in a Suitcase, obtained by the Post, but edited out of the final release, he stated, "It was a short-lived interest, but I still have many friends in the Church of Satan. I say this to only show that however bizarre the subject, I don't pass judgment until I have found out everything I can about it. People who can put up an interesting case will often find that I'm a willing convert."
Whoa.
That's not a good way to be.
No.
I feel like you should stick to your own
You should be able to.
integrity.
But here's the thing. Because, I've worked in film and television. The one thing that they respect is someone who's willing to do whatever. That's the thing that they respect the most. If you're just willing to, bypass your family, focus only on what they want you to focus on, then you will be seen as a very good person.
That's
Good
crazy.
person to work with. But if you're someone who has these boundaries and these values and morals, they're just like, this person's very difficult. That's what they'll brand you as. They'll brand you as difficult to work with,
That's crazy.
which I have been branded as. Too bad. Let's go down to David Bowie here.
David Bowie at the end there. David Bowie was too afraid of witches to actually be one. He even hired a white witch to exorcise him after fearing that witches were going to curse him.
Whoa.
His ex-wife Angie wrote in her memoir about the experience, alleging, "At a certain point in the ritual, the pool began to bubble. It bubbled vigorously, perhaps thrashed is a better term, in a manner inconsistent with any explanation involving filters and the like." That's creepy.
That's very creepy. David Bowie, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Whoa. We should just do an episode just on that. Because he said some wild things. There's some, I showed you one clip where he was talking about something called black noise.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it was very...
And it can be actually harmful to your health.
Yeah. Very, and that kind of goes along with another patent thing that we were talking about. Something reading your thoughts.
Yep.
It's kind of like the inverse thing. Instead of reading it, it's kind of placing you into a certain state. But we'll get into that
It's
another
like Get
time.
Out.
Yeah. Yeah, funny it's called Black Noise and it's like Get Out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what else do you got
I
on
think
your
that's
side of
about
things?
it. Let me just check through.
Let me see if you have anything else that's like broken into point form notes. I'm just pulling up a picture of Sam Smith.
Oh gosh.
Just
I used to like him so much.
I used to love this guy's voice.
Yeah, I used to love his music, but now it's all crazy.
He has a beautiful voice, but something happened to him. I'm telling you, these people give in to, again, you're seen as a really good person if you just are willing to give in to whatever they put in front of you.
Yeah.
And he obviously was. And he's gotten more acclaim than ever doing it this way.
I didn't even know he was like doing all this stuff at concerts and stuff. But then as soon as that song came out about like the cheating, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Very interesting. And you know, the thing that really annoys me about stuff like this, what you see on the screen right now, is that people will always be like, this is just art. They'll be like, it's just art. No, it's just art. It's just art. It's like, or they're just trying to get a rise out of you. It's like, why are all of them doing the exact same thing to get a rise out of you?
Yeah.
Why are they all going towards Satanism? Why are they all going towards this stuff? Wouldn't they all do different things to try and get a rise out of you?
Because you think like art is individualistic.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, why are you all jumping on the same bandwagon?
Why would you walk in lockstep when you're trying to be individualistic?
Yeah.
Like as an artist.
It's like that's just like the fad now.
I think they're giving into something. I think it's wild because you got to think about this. Like right now, it's just on the screen. You see Sam Smith and a bunch of ladies who are like, you know, kind of worshiping him or whatever. But this energy is getting played into thousands of people. If he did a whole tour, it's getting played into millions of people where they're seeing this energy and they're accepting it because it's Sam Smith.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was some crazy demon that just, you know, kind of just came down from nowhere, everybody would scream and run. But because it's Sam Smith and he's depicted as that and he has this beautiful voice, like a siren almost, you know, people get pulled in.
And then it's also like you're paying to see him and basically worshiping.
Consenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like the one thing they always say in this whole thing, there's a need for karmic consent. Like people need to consent to what the things that are happening.
Yeah.
They can't just it can't just happen. They need to consent. They're not allowed to just do things, apparently, in this whole order, you know, whether you want to call it Thelemite or whatever. They need consent from the people, you know? Like anything that is a sacrifice has to be willing.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what you're seeing there, folks. What else you got? Anything?
No, that was it.
Well, glad we could leave on a high note, guys. But you know what? Look out for it. Look out for it. As I started learning about symbolism when I was younger, I started watching every single music video, every single movie with like two eyes. You know, one would just be watching like the regular person. The other one would be looking for symbolism anywhere. And as you start looking for it, you will find it everywhere. Every single place. These directors, they do not do things for no reason. They just don't. They don't have people walking down the street. They don't have lights a certain color for no reason. Everything is for some kind of reason. And the deeper you get into stuff like this, the more you're able to see, you know? So, yeah. How about you? Anything?
No, just freaks me out that there's so many like connections in the world that you don't think about necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many. I don't even watch music videos anymore because are they even a thing anymore? But if I did, if I like, you know, watching music videos just from the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, there's so much symbolism and it ramped up so much to the point where it was like, what am I actually watching? What am I consenting with my eyes and my energy right now? That's why I stopped watching so many things. I stopped listening to hip hop because they're doing it with their words. They're doing it with their images and they're not trying to help you. They're not doing good things with it. They're doing negative things with it. So, yeah. Take that for what you will. Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, and Scientology Jesus.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys, like the video if you haven't liked it already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we are out.
Bye.
Bye.